And we're back. Guys, just do me a favor and ignore the lights back here. I had it set to just blue. I'm not sure what happened, but now they're going between different colors or whatever. So for those of you who don't follow me on TikTok, if you don't, you might want to do that. But I just got my license a few weeks ago, and wow, I put it off for the longest time because it's like, wow, you gotta have 6 months worth of driving. It has to be spread out in over 6 months. You can't just do, I'm gonna drive 50 hours in 3 days. You can't just do that. It has to be spread over, you know, amount of time. Obviously it's more than just 50 hours, but I finally got the permit when I was 16 in Illinois. You can get the permit at 16. You got to drive around until you're 18, then you'll be able to get it. Now I thought it was said and done, right? You would think once you have your license you could drive wherever you want, right? Wrong! Obviously you need insurance, right? So we called the insurance company and was like, hey, can we get some insurance, you know, so I could drive around, you know, by myself without having to drive with a person with another license plate with the insurance for the car, etc., etc. And they said you need to be 19 or have 6 more months of driving experience. And not only that, insurance is now $350, okay? Now I don't know about you guys, but that's a lot, you know, from where I'm from. Considering that most of it you could get some for like $120 if you're an adult, but they said up until 21 it's $350, and I can drive until I'm 19 by myself at least. Not only that, they said until then I could only drive with one friend in the car, and aside from the one friend, only immediately family. So if I want to do Uber, I'm gonna be able to do that. And you must be asking yourself, Jude, why all these restrictions? Well, we asked, and the person on the other line said, well, it's because all the accidents that teens are going through. And let me take this out of my ear. That's crazy, because I'm a good driver, but you know, it's always the negative bad people that mess it up for the rest of the group, okay? You know, you see a guy on TikTok who over-sexualizes everything, and you're like, man, not all of us men are like that, and he's giving us a bad image or something like that. Or you're in the fan base of a certain, you know, cartoon or something, and then you got the shippers who ship characters. I'm not even going to get into that, and you're like, why do they paint all of us just to be, you know, oh, it's headcanon, shut up. But yeah, they said there's so many kids who have been in accidents. There was this one person a couple weeks ago who was driving with her friend on her permit. Now, you're not even supposed to drive by yourself with just a permit. With a permit, you have to be with an adult with a driver's license, okay? But she was driving with just her permit, no adult in the car, her and her friend, and she hit a pole. Not really sure all the details of how that happened, but he said that was just an example that happened, you know, like last week, and I was like, wow, you know, there's lots of people out here driving carelessly and stuff like that. And I said, it messes it up for me because, you know, I'd like to drive and go places, but now I gotta wait until, you know, 6 months or until I'm 19, which is a whole nother year. So right when I thought it was over, it's not. Now, I'm not sure if it's like this everywhere. It could be just like this in Illinois, but it's crazy. Like, you know, I wasn't scared. Well, yeah, I was scared of driving, but I was like, wow, you know, I'm in this vehicle with a bunch of other vehicles going 60 miles per hour. I could die if I make the wrong move. That's how I saw it. I was not excited to drive, okay? My parents had to drag me into it and be like, come on, you gotta get your license, you're gonna know it. And I was like, I'll do it next year. But I'm glad I got it, don't misunderstand me. But there's other people out here who are eager to drive and just drive dangerously, knowing it could be their last trip ever. You know, my thing was, just imagine if it was your family in the other car, okay? That's, you know, that'll help you to drive slower and be like, well, maybe they have a child, you know, maybe it's an older person. But, you know, some people are just stupid, and in that case, you just cut in front of them, you know, and if they hit you, well, you got an insurance settlement coming. Don't take any of that advice. I'm just joking. But, you know, treat us how you want to be treated. Just think, well, you know, I'll slow down to let them in, you know, because I would want to be let in. Now, do you have to do that for everybody? No. And then some people don't know how to drive, and then you got to drive for everybody. The amount of times that I've driven and people have cut off in front of me or don't have on their blinker, which, yeah, that's a big deal. You know, I mean, if you see someone getting over, you're like, okay, let me slow down to let them in. But if they don't have on a blinker and they suddenly just turn in, it's like, it's happened to me before where I didn't have a stop sign, so I was driving, this person did have a stop sign, but they didn't stop, so I had to hit the brakes and they just flew past me, you know, and that doesn't feel great, you know, but it's true, you really have to drive for everyone. And if you're a teen who just got your license, or even if you're an adult, okay, you know, this doesn't just apply to teens, just be careful out on the road, because it's an easy way to not be here anymore. Now, you can always say, well, people also die of heart attacks. That doesn't have anything to do with driving. Okay, true, but be careful in everything you do, especially driving, okay? Because even if you're the most careful driver, like, you know, I like to think I'm a very careful driver. There's always these other people who aren't careful. They said we've seen Jude's record and he is a careful driver, but unfortunately there's these other drivers who are teens who are not so careful. We can't just lower the price for you, you know, and not for the other people, because they'd be like, well, why is he so special? And I was like, well, if they say how come he only has to pay 120, I have to pay 350, just tell them, well, it's because he has a better driving score than you do, that's why you got to pay more. But apparently they were like, oh, we can't do that. See, y'all vote for me to become mayor. If y'all want me to become mayor, go and smash the like button. No, I'm just joking. That's not my calling. But I was like, wow, the majority overcomplicates it for everybody, you know, and, well, what can you do? Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. Share this video with one of your friends. If you don't have any friends, this will be your friend. Stay victorious. Peace, loves you. I got the Batman, but I got the one by Hush. Now, I wanted to originally get the Dark Knight Returns Batman, and I did buy him actually, but his wrists were super loose and they were falling off, and he didn't have a lot of range of motion. Now I know, you know, Frank Miller's art style, you know, it's supposed to be bulky, cartoonish muscles, but even my Superman had more range of motion than that. So I said I'm gonna go ahead and return this one, get a Hush Batman. He has like over 40 different hand attachments, 3 head sculpts. If y'all want to buy them, use the link in my description. Go and give your boy some commission there. You know, you could like pose him sitting down. You know, his cape is huge. I heard a lot of you know, toy collectors say I don't like the cape, it's too big. But if you actually read Hush, you know, nothing against you guys, but like if they actually read Hush comics, you know, they know that his cape is supposed to be comically large. I can't stand it. Well, I was gonna say I love it in a sarcastic way, but I can't stand it when people be like, oh man, Batman's supposed to be like this. Batman's character is not like this at all. Have you touched a comic in your life? The comic is the ground rules. Okay, so as Christians, you know, the Bible is our final authority in our life. Okay, if you watch cartoons, DC cartoons, DC movies, the comics are the final authority in the movie, okay? You go to the comic to see what's what. You don't look at the movie and say, oh, that's canon. Oh, that's canon over here. You know, I want to get the, they have Hush, the actual guy who, in case y'all don't know about Hush, he grew up with Bruce Wayne, and he got his face surgically done to look like Batman, to look like Bruce Wayne to throw people off. And they're releasing his action figure, you know, August 2025. So, you know, I'm looking at that one. Also, Mayfix just dropped some new toys. We got a Doomsday and Battle Damaged Superman coming. So, you know, stay on the lookout. If there's any action figure collectors there, you know, I just put y'all on right there.